with your friends. All the way to Lagos.
We're back. I hope you're still scrolling through those trends. This is Trending SA on SABC3. The hashtag is on3. All right, so our next guest knows all about social media. He was voted as South Africa's top 100 most influential young entrepreneurs in 2016 in the science and tech category. Wow. Conrad Travis David calls himself the go-to guy in social media and digital technology. He's the CEO of hashtag South Africa. Everybody welcome
I'll be going in. Can I take you with your friends? All the way to Lagos for a hell of a weekend. See, we can do clubbing, unlimited bottles popping.
So let's get straight into it. Your brand hashtag South Africa is built in line with the National Development Plan. I mean, why link with the NDP?
Well, I read this document back in 2011, 444-page document. Some people think, what are you doing? But then I got to understand government institutions and internationals are trying to build South Africa after just 23 years in democracy. So much needs to be done, 100-year struggle to get us to where we are today. And a lot needs to be done. People that didn't have lights and water now have that. So South Africa as a government is infrastructuring and building the country in that way. And as citizens and as business people, we can see this as an opportunity. Let's leverage off this. Let's build with this. South Africa is at BRICS. South Africa is doing these things. Let's be a part of that rather than just complain.
Yeah,
like that.
So now, all the way back in 2003, you studied advertising and marketing. So where does this passion for digital communication come from?
Wow, I think it started back in 1992, actually. When I first got home, my dad bought an IBM computer. And I grew up as a kid very sickly, so always had asthma. So instead of being outdoors playing, I would do puzzles and computers. And I got connected to the internet at a very young age. So I grew up, and till today, I still make use of the internet. And starting hashtag South Africa came about on this great idea I had leaving Bible school.
So we had a little chat just before the show, and I said that I was following you on Instagram, and that I noticed some of your posts tracked your entrepreneurial journey, and that you actually started your company with only 100 Rand in your pocket. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah. As a journey and entrepreneur, things can be very hard. Before that, I had a company called Mzansi Chemicals. I was pretty much founder, supplier, and then marketed it out there. And I realized all that time and energy, it's not really working out. And while I was in Bible school, I realized so many people are focusing on products and services. Clearly, I wasn't listening that day in class. Everyone's focusing on selling a spray can or alcohol drink, but very few are focusing on the country. And then I just wrote down a hashtag and then South Africa. I was like, wow, let me just leave, pack my stuff and left. The 100 Rand is what I borrowed from my mom to register the domain. And once I registered the domain, I created the website in a week or two, and then I just started going and knocking on doors when I was in KZN to different businesses. One client said no to me about 8 times, and till today, he's still a client. So persistence pays off.
Wow, okay.
So we got yes, eventually.
Eventually.
Do you have more dramatic obstacles than that?
Wow, life is always full of, you're always dealing with rejection. It always starts with the people around you, then on the new environment you go to. Some clients looking back, certain departments are very against this whole social media type of thing.
Is that you busy working?
Yep, I was on the phone working, getting things done. That was
Still
a shot.
on the phone working.
Yep. Always at it. Always at it.
You mentioned Bible school a lot. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I've always had this. I kind of grew up in the church ministries and so forth, but I paid very little attention to being a part of it. And then I had always had this calling about reading the Word and understanding it in an in-depth level. And I enrolled in Bible school. Over the years, I always had many priests and prophets coming over and talking to me. And when I made that decision, I'm going to go ahead and study. And I did that for about 1.5 years. But in the journey of hashtag South Africa, I've spoken to more people. I've trained more people. I had a chance to express the word out. And I believe the church is not in a building. It's out in the world.
Amen.
And we look 2,000 years later, more people are free. We're not enslaved. We have the freedom of choice. The whole planet is rising up. It's the greatest revolution right now.
So, my grand's watching the show, and
my grand as well.
Yeah. So, people that are watching the show don't necessarily know what makes things trend.
Yes.
So we talk about this. The show is called Trending SA. We talk about trends and social media trending. First of all, what is a social media trend, and how do we make things trend? I'm going to give you a hashtag and as an example, and you can tell us. For example, we spoke about things that fooled me as a child, which is the hashtag that we spoke about earlier. How would somebody make that trend?
You know, it first starts off with a simple idea where you have an event. So you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to create something that's going to be a really easy access point. So in school, we're taught the verb is the doing word. A hashtag is the action word. Every hashtag you jump on board and tons of conversation. That's what the show came about. And what happens nowadays, people have WhatsApp groups. They invite all influentials on board. Like, guys, we're going to be tweeting between 8 and 10 o'clock. These are the type of messages. Let's push it out. That's a structured approach. But for organically, people are just getting things to trend. If your content's good, if it's creative, if it's funny, if it's informative.
People can resonate with it.
Exactly, and you got to be relative to the point. And
If they're looking for a USB in the link.
yeah.
beside the link,
Speaking of that,
and then they look
I think
for
the USB is actually here. Why isn't it USB, man? 2017, use the cloud.
Hilarious. But there's also this other element of social media where people use it as a platform to sell things.
Yes.
Okay. So how can someone at home start gaining from their social media platform? How can they start a social media business?
So just when you start your business, you're going to be like, this is the product and service I'm going to offer. This is my time I'm going to spend in it. And then start looking at, if it's a product, let's say you're a bakery, you want to bake cakes. Start doing baking cakes and take different picks and different options. Or you're going to deliver something to your client. Capture the moments. We're at a point now where you don't need huge production sets. We have these phones that we can take out to people, take short videos, take short clips, and start sharing it. And you build up your profile. Guys, you got to realize you got to put in the time and the effort. It's not going to happen like you start Monday and Friday you're going to be this millionaire online. You know, I'm in this now for over 7 years. It takes time to build up that awareness. And once you do, you build up credibility. You know, just like you build up credibility with clients, you're building that online. And that's what matters.
You've worked with some of the best companies in the country. As a matter of fact, you worked with government and private sector, and you've identified problems in 12 spheres of world society, and created an actionable solutions. What are these? You
know, looking at these 12 spheres, something I learned from one of my past mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe. There's different spheres of worlds of society. So we have politics, which is one, government, which is another. Remember, those are two different. Civic society, arts and culture, education, health and religion. And every sphere of society has a world of influence. You have people like institutions that are already been there for such a long time, and they dictate how society is being pushed forward. So what we're doing at Hashtag South Africa is I'm going into these boardrooms, into these institutions, and like, guys, we need to start to ensure that you are here for the next 50 to 100 years. We need to start implementing these digital strategies. You need to start creating short videos. We need to start allowing more people into these rooms and environments. So I've positioned myself over the past few years at government institution level, and businesses normally gather at these places. But we also go out to businesses out there in the marketplace to teach them, to show them, guys, this is one of the biggest land rushes and gold rushes right now. You know, everyone wants to try and get land in South Africa. Build up your digital land and benefit from it. If you can't find customers in Johannesburg, what's stopping you from finding a customer in Tokyo? You know, we as South Africans, we need to start opening up our minds. Americans, some of them don't even leave the United States, yet they sell products here in South Africa or in Africa. And we need to start adapting that mentality.
Just as a complete side, I mean, I understand that this is. I spoke to somebody recently on a plane they had a production house in China, and they were selling things in America, but their offices are in Joburg, and they just sit and do this. Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And I mean, this is what you're building, and it's really beautiful.
Life, yeah.
Yeah, great. You know, you got to put in those hours and that time.
We love trends, and we know that you're a forecaster. Tell us what are some of the trends that we should look out for, because we want to be hip and happening. You
know, like I always say, Hashtag South Africa should be the #1 trend in South Africa. The world is looking at us, and a lot of the content they see is negative. Guys, you know, I love Twitter, what's going on, but let's be a bit more positive. Let's not slander our fellow South Africans. You know, at the end of the day, when like everyone here goes overseas or goes and approaches, we go in as a family. South Africa is such a unit. Guys, I always say, if you're born in Africa and South Africa, you're blessed. Don't consider it as a loss. See it as an opportunity. This is one of the final frontiers. So if you want something to trend, make sure it's intuitive. Things you always look out. Like we see, hashtag Monday motivation is always trending. Someone started that. What's stopping someone else from making something else to trend?
For sure.
So
Something positive, you mean?
exactly,
Yeah.
positive as well as action, guys. I like to see people say, like, I went to the bank, I submitted this finance. This is the process of how it happened, rather
Nice.
than like I'm popping champagne on Fredman Drive on
Oh
the
my
weekend.
God.
I love you.
On that
Re-socialize.
note, thank you very much, Conrad, for being here. Conrad Travis David, everybody. Really interesting, right? Okay, cool. We're going to take a quick break. When we wrap things up, we're going to see Ugogo, who struck gold.
Yes.
You want to see this?
Yes.
We'll be right back.